What's going on, everybody? It's me, Ryan. I'm here to host another episode of The Library presented by Classic Buffalo, where we are helping change the world by sharing people's stories from big, deep stuff to shallow, fun things and everything in between. So this week we are talking with my buddy, Lucas. He is such a calm and peaceful and fun guy. Almost like ASMR a little bit with how soft he speaks sometimes, but he's got a quiet strength. I think you'll really love him, and I can't wait to hear what you think. And seriously, I think you'll enjoy this episode. So without further ado, let's get to it. Hey,
what's up?
Look who it is, Lucas. How are you, buddy?
I'm all right. Yourself?
What are you sipping on? Is that Fiji?
The Fiji, is it artesian water or is it artesian?
Artesian?
Water? Yeah, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah.
Sure.
Fiji.
What are your thoughts on Fiji water versus any other water? I've never had Fiji water.
You know, I only drink Fiji when I want to feel fancy, and so I figured, being in the presence of such a thrift god and podcaster, I'd go for the Fiji water today.
Am I the thrift god? Am I really the thrift god?
I think you're getting there.
Oh man, I'm in like I'm a thrift salmon right now or something.
Just swimming up the stream.
Swimming around. I'm in the universe. Man. So where are you originally from?
So I'm from Rockville, Indiana, which is like 25 minutes north of Terre Haute, Indiana. So it's the covered bridge capital of the world, actually.
Okay, I've seen so many covered bridge festival. Like, what's so special about like covered bridges? Like, what's the whole fascination?
Absolutely nothing. No, I don't know. So I think it's more so to do with like the fall foliage kind of thing. It's like there's a festival every like second week of October. It starts, and like it's pretty out there. It's like where Turkey Run is. I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a really pretty area of Indiana, and it's just tons of food and crafts and junk. Diabetes socks.
Diabetes.
Seriously, and then people always, whenever I was growing up, they'd always place bets on like what's gonna be the thing this year. Like, is it? It would be like fidget spinners or like rubber bracelets or just something weird. That would be like the new thing for the year that like everybody would be selling.
Why is there diabetes socks? I don't know.
They sell them by bulk. I don't know why. But they're there. I don't know. Every year without fail, it just cracks me up that like they'll sell like a 24 pack or like 36 pack of diabetes socks.
Why do you need 36 pairs of socks regardless if they're for diabetes?
Have you worn diabetes socks before?
No, they're soft.
They're awesome. They don't have as much elastic in them, but they still.
Oh man! Wow.
I had to try because you see it for so many times, and you're like, I gotta try this. I gotta see what it's all about.
And it's gonna be the greatest thing ever.
They're the best socks to like sleep in because they don't bunch up on you.
They don't bunch up.
No.
Man. You should be
We're off to a flying start with the diabetes socks.
Yeah, you should be a spokesman. Be the spokesman. Hi, I'm Lucas and I wear just real soft like
an infomercial.
Yeah.
I could be the Billy Mays of diabetes socks. Okay, I can do that.
So it was a small town, right? So it's like you're kind of were you like in the middle of nowhere, small town, or like you're kind of right outside Terre Haute, but what was it like kind of growing up? Was it small town, big town?
Small town.
Okay.
Small town. So I think the best way to gauge it or to like help people understand, I don't know exactly like the numbers of the town, but there were 73 people in my graduating class.
Whoa.
So small. Yeah. You knew everybody like a little bit too much, I think. You knew everybody.
What's the best part of living in a small town?
Well, you know everybody. It's just it's the same thing. That's probably the worst part of living in a small town is the fact that you know everybody.
Right.
So your business is everybody else's business, and everybody else's business is your business, whether you want it to be or not. So
yeah.
That's probably like the sense of community. It felt like was really good. You don't have a lot. I didn't wish I grew up somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It was always nice. So,
big or small family?
Just your average size family, I guess. I grew up in a family of all boys, so I was the youngest of 3.
Oh wow!
So, by like 9 years. Is my
same.
next stage. Okay. So, yeah.
9.5. It's weird. Yeah.
But really cool though, because I feel like you knew what was cooler before a lot of kids your age knew it was cool.
Yeah.
Because when everybody else is like listening to Hanson or something like that, it's like, man,
Hanson.
like I don't know.
But
I don't know what would have been around that time period that would have been actually cool,
right?
Or cooler than Hanson. I don't know if you're listening to like the next or the new album by like I don't know some rapper or something. It's like I'm listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony while you guys are listening to like. I don't know, Kids Bop. That's the kind of stuff that happens whenever you're whenever you have siblings that are so much older than you.
If I could go back in time and stop Kids Bop, that's one of my top 5 things. Gosh.
But, yeah.
Did you get to know them kind of like when you were older? Because for me, I didn't really develop a close relationship with my brother until like kind of late high school, college. Like it took a while because we were just in 2 separate stages of life until like I kind of really became mature, turned 18, kind of just it was harder for me personally, but I was curious how that played out with you.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. Like it was a long time for me. In fact, I think it's probably just been like the last maybe like 2 or 3 years, to be honest with you, man. Which just seems crazy, but
right.
Whenever they're so much older than you like that, it's almost more of a paternal relationship than it is like a sibling relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it was different growing up like that because they're always they're just that much older than you. So I think they always know. They think they know what's best all the time, and they probably did the majority of the time.
Right.
So there's not things that that you're going through that they probably haven't gone through or something similar to it at certain so when they really see you do something like, well, that's a good idea or not.
Right. So you have like a Boston sort of connection. Can you explain your connection to the Northeast at all?
It's really not that it's pretty new, to be honest with you. Like new but old. So I mean, growing up in the Terre Haute area, my mom actually went to Indiana State at the same time that Larry Bird did. So
whoa!
It was like a.
Did she meet Larry Bird?
I think in passing, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you know how many people are probably like, "Yeah, I met Larry Bird." It's like, well, did you meet Larry Bird? Did you like see him at the Commons? And so the guy that actually like in the national championship that year, the guy that like hit the game-winning shot to go to the national championship, I think his name was Bob Heaton. He's actually like a state representative, but he played with Larry Bird at Indiana State. Well, Bob Heaton grew up with my dad. So it's like there's just like all these different connections with like Larry Bird. So that like started out with like liking Larry Bird going to the Celtics. And then growing up, like really, and I think you can connect to this too because, sports gear, vintage sports gear, everything like that. Like I loved the Patriots uniforms when I was a little kid.
Right.
And then, so like Drew Bledsoe was my favorite player, and I was actually so bummed whenever Tom Brady replaced him. And then also outside of that, so the other connection is, used to go actually to Fort Myers to watch spring training baseball, and the Red Sox were in Fort Myers. So it's like those 3 teams.
Yeah.
Those were my connections to them, and then I ended up marrying a girl that grew up outside of Boston, so it's like
forever tied. Yeah, forever tied.
Whether I want to or not, I guess I am right now.
What about hockey? Are you like a Bruins fan?
Yeah, but hockey's probably more so recent than anything else. Just because I think it was the unknown whenever you grew up watching sports, and in Indiana you watch basketball and you watch football, and you might be one of those people that watch baseball.
Yeah.
But hockey's not really introduced to you, so that's I think that's like an adult find.
Yeah.
So,
I picked up all the teams for the people who got me into it. My dad got me into baseball and football, so Red Sox and Patriots. He's from Boston. My brother got me into basketball, and I was in Florida, so we were a Miami Heat fan. My favorite teacher got me into college football, Florida Gators. And then it's just like, and then, when I was doing roller hockey, like outside, because that was like Florida. We did that all the time, go to the roller rinks and stuff.
Right.
That was right when Tampa Bay was really good.
Yeah.
So early 2000s, and so I became like a Lightning fan, sort of.
They were good early.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that your dad was from Boston. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was born in Iowa. He was for till 4 or 5, and then went to Chicago and was raised in high school through college, and most of his life was in Boston kind of area.
So that's progressing. You can't get much different from Iowa to Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the people, the culture.
Oh, for sure.
But that's cool.
Let's talk about culture, because you eventually got into African American studies in college.
Yeah.
And that's always intrigued me, and that kind of gets into your fashion and hip hop background, social justice, all of that stuff. So let's kind of build up our way. Let's go senior year of high school, junior year, when you're trying to pick a college and your major and stuff like that. Walk us through that kind of process, where you were at in your life.
Nowhere near that major, for sure. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that point in time, or what I wanted to go to school for.
Yeah.
And does anybody really? I don't really know. I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't. So I kind of just meddled around a little bit and ended up in some history courses, and I just took to it, man. Just learning about, I told you that grew up in a small town where I had 73 people in my graduating class. So whenever I got out of high school, I wanted to know anything and everything I could about the world, different cultures, something that I didn't belong to.
Right.
So I think that I was automatically drawn to it because it was something that maybe I didn't know anything about. Or I might have had preconceived notions about history that I had no idea about.
Have you always been so curious just about everything?
Yeah.
Why is that happening? Or what's
yeah. Absolutely. It's a wonder, I didn't die when I was a little kid or something with a light socket and a fork or something like that. But yeah, I've always been just really curious. I wanted to learn more, just expand myself, just expand my horizons, and learn more about different cultures, different people, just get outside the box. So
that kind of social justice kind of dances around / is in a part of naturally a part of that area. What was kind of a moment in history or something that really made you passionate about either African American studies or just in general social injustice?
That's a loaded question. There's so many things. I think that go unmentioned, especially when you're growing up. You hear about Martin Luther King Jr. all the time.
Yeah,
that's what you hear about when you're in school. I mean, you have MLK Day, but it's they leave out a lot. They leave out a lot whenever you're going through elementary school and high school, and you're learning about these things, and it's you think that the beginning and end of a certain history is centered around this one person. Almost it gets to be that way, and it's so you couldn't be further from the truth with that. So like just to hear about like people who were just as influential during that time period, before that time period, just it's really like awe-striking to like know so much more about it that like maybe just isn't talked about.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, like get
Right.
woke, you know. Like there's things out there that like
Yeah.
there are people out there, there are names that, you know, people need to know of.
So if I like, let's say mine's climate change, right?
Right.
Like, or I just have a cause, homelessness, child adoption, orphanages and stuff. Name a cause, right? What would you recommend to someone who they don't really know how to actually put boots to the ground for their own issue? Do you just recommend research? Is it just get used to talking about the issue? Like, just pretend you're talking to me and I'm like, I'm really passionate about climate change, but I don't really know how to get active or speak my mind. I feel like I can't speak my mind.
Right.
What would you recommend to somebody who's they just found their kind of they found a passion, or they may feel limited about their actual ability to help?
I feel like do as much research as you possibly can. And you're going to go through a lot of research that might be even like boring or hard to understand, but do research on what it is that makes you tick, what it is that you're interested in. Do research on stuff that you want to know about and that you find to be interesting about it and you find to be true about it. Do research that might contradict what you think too, because if you're gonna have to speak to it, if you're gonna have to speak to something you're passionate about, then you're gonna need to know about it.
I totally agree.
So that's the first thing. Second thing I would say, just get out there and be around people that are like-minded as you and like bounce ideas off of them, and then be around people that don't have the same viewpoints as you also. So if you're passionate about it, if there's if there's events, if there's marches, if there's anything like that, like do it.
Right.
You might go and be like, whoa, like I don't want to be involved on this level, or like that, or like these people are crazy, or this is giving me a whole new outlook, or you might like find that like, wow, this is like I've found my place, So
trying.
Important. Just putting yourself out there. Just expanding your horizons, really.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Okay. Wow.
Is it like nature? Name some stuff that really makes you happy when you talk about it, when your passions in life.
Okay. Just people in general, man. Interactions that we have on a daily basis.
Right.
While they're so small, they're so big too. Just living in the moment and having conversations with people, it means a lot. Just to some conversation that might not mean that much to you today could mean so much to you tomorrow, or or it could shape your future, shape how you think about things, just on a conversation that you might not give it any thought for a month or a year, but then like someday it might hit you that like, whoa, like I remember that conversation I had in 2013, and that was huge. Like,
it seems like you have a good idea of how to be present in a moment. Like, how would you recommend somebody kind of get used to that? Because I agree that like any amount of mindfulness in the moment is good for anxiety and depression, but also just in general, like enjoying life because you can't have everything you want at one time, or ever sometimes, but just in general, like you have to appreciate where you're at, what's the good, what's the bad, and be able to.
Well, it can also be terrifying for you too if you're somebody that has social anxiety and anxiety in general. So it's hard to get to live in the moment sometimes, because sometimes the moment is absolutely terrifying for you. I'm somebody that struggles with social anxiety, so you have to condition yourself to like not cave sometimes, I think.
Right. How would you describe social anxiety to somebody who doesn't have it?
So somebody that doesn't have it, I would say that you've got walls that are just closing in on you, and those walls are just like people and their judgment. So you have these walls that are just moving in on you, and people are just standing there staring at you or judging. They're probably not. People probably don't care that much, you know?
Right.
You care way more than a lot of people are going to care.
Right.
In a lot of social situations whenever you have social anxiety.
Yeah. What has helped in times, I have what's helped me in the past, but I'm curious, what has helped you when you've been in a social situation where you've had social anxiety, where you've overcome it? You know, sometimes like we all have our failures where like, I just booked it out of there. I couldn't handle it, whatever,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But what is a thing, did you do anything or a thought that helped when you were in that social anxiety situation?
You know, it's about being, I guess, in tune with your actions, in tune with what's going on. And again, I stress that like, that's going to scare a lot of people if they have social anxiety, but it is concentrating on your breathing. Like, am I like, you really need to concentrate on like, okay, like slow things down for a second in your mind, slow things down second with your body, like take some deep breaths, like focus. Are you making eye contact?
Yeah.
Like, are you listening? Are you actively listening to the person, or are you just staring at the ground? Like there's things that you have to think about, but you know, in time, I feel like it gets easier with things like that. But it can also sneak up on you. But I think it's just, it's where it's not that easy. But I think it's just being conscious and being present in the moment. So.
Yeah, for me, it's helped when I pick somebody I know, like, because I was at a networking event and I knew nobody. There's 100 people at this party.
Terrifying, isn't it?
And there's the dude who invited me, but like he was barely around. And I had happened to message two people, one like both of them were going to be on the podcast, and one like found me, and I was like, dude, thank God, like I found him. And then I was like, do you know any people here? And then he was like, yeah, go talk to this person. And then we kind of had a 4-way conversation and stuff like that. He kind of weeds away, and I'm like, oh shoot, now what do I do? And I found another person. It was kind of like I stick to who I did know and say like, hey, do you know any people here? And then just kind of sticking like a leech, and it made things easier. And then when they went away, I was kind of like, oh God, what do I do now? But
it's like you're learning. So a good analogy for that is to be like, okay, like you're in a pool. You don't know how to swim that well. You're a little kid. You don't know how to swim that well. And then all of a sudden somebody comes up to you and they have like a floaty, and you're like, oh, thank God you're here. And they're like, all right, well, I'm going to go swim now. And they take the floaty with them, and you're like, but wait.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and in situations like that, being able to have somebody there, I think, that understands what you're going through, or like knows that you have anxiety, like that's going to help you tremendously too. So that also involves just, talking to your friends and being like, hey, like, if I start to get weird.
Right. Yeah.
So
I don't think it's just an introvert problem.
No, because I work in sales, man. So that's a big thing. Yeah. People are like, you have social anxiety and you're in sales. It's like, yeah, of course. It sounded like a great idea.
What are your thoughts on where we're at as a society with anxiety and depression? Do you think like we're in a good place? Are you intrigued?
No. I'm always intrigued, but we're not in a good place, man. We're just not.
What's contributing, you think, to higher than normal levels of anxiety and depression? You think? And it doesn't have to be. It's not one thing, right? But like social media, it's the biggest thing I can think of.
Social media I think can be used for good and bad. now I think there's so much of it that we're not putting our phones down enough. We're not talking to each other enough. We're not interacting face to face. And when forced to interact face to face with people, we don't know what to do and we feel weird. And then all of a sudden it would bring on anxiety or just weird feelings and awkwardness because we don't do it enough.
Right.
You know, you see, like, you go some places and you see that you go out to eat anywhere, and it's almost a guarantee that you're going to see probably a little kid that has like his parents' iPhone or an iPad in their hand. It's like this conditioning, like, kids to have that interaction of, like, I get that it's distracting for them, and it's probably a godsend to parents to have something like that. But at the same time, like, it's just what we're doing as a society now. It's just, here, take this technology device and hide your face in it. So, but then you look at their parents, you see the same thing. A lot of times nobody's interacting with each other. And so there's a lot of anxiety, and people aren't expressing their feelings unless it's, anxiety about not getting something quick enough, or, if the internet's down, my God, people are going to really freak out if they can't, like, play the game.
I remember when, I think it was like Instagram or Facebook was like down and everybody just lost it.
Yeah, man. It's like, because we're conditioned now, it's such a big part of our society. If we have to be without it, then what do? I mean, I don't have Facebook anymore. I don't have Twitter either. I used to. And all I have is Instagram.
I use Twitter for news, and then Instagram for vintage Indy and classic Buffalo and just in general photos and stuff. But yeah, Twitter's just like, oh my gosh, just the amount of, checking the trending. I mean, you're going to see just like, it's just always bad stuff, and then sports. Like, those are like the two things I'm getting, you know?
Right. Yeah, and then you have to pay attention to, like, what you're consuming.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, your brain's in a muscle in a way, you know, and, like, if you're not consuming the right things for your brain, if you're not working your brain the right way, then, like, you're not conditioning it the right way, it's not going to be a good thing, you know. You fill it full of negativity, what are you going to put out? Probably negativity.
What's your relationship with phones and technology in your own relationship, being married and just in your is it like a mandatory, like, hey, we're on a date, put your phones down, kind of, doesn't need to be that blunt, but just like, do you have that mutual understanding? Do you just not care? Like, I'm curious how that works in a relationship, since we're on the topic, kind of.
We do a really good job at being present if we are out to dinner or anything like that. I think where we lose it is whenever, if we're, like, going to bed or something like that, the phone's like the first thing you get out, because it's like, well, you're winding down, like, everybody reaches for their phone. You know, you got to catch up on Instagram or whatever.
Do you do like the cute cheesy posts on, like, birthdays, anniversaries?
You already know I do. I just did one yesterday, I think. So yeah, yesterday was like an anniversary. So I do that shamelessly anymore. Like, it is what it is. You know, I'm proud of who I'm with. I'm proud of the relationships I have, and man, if I could, like, remember birthdays more often now that I don't have Facebook, I'd probably make posts for all my friends too. It'd be pretty annoying time.
It's probably half the reason why people still have Facebook.
So they can remember birthdays. That's one thing that I really, like, it frustrates me, because now I won't know it unless, like, my wife's like, hey, it's my dad's birthday today. And, like, oh shoot, it is, isn't it? I knew it was sometime this month, but, like, I don't know if I'm gonna have to like go all granny style and go get a calendar and start writing people's dates down there, or what?
You should do that.
Actually, that's probably a good idea.
Get a calendar, but, like, make a sling out of it, so you have to wear it.
Yeah.
So just kind of have a calendar, almost like a fanny pack, but it's like a calendar.
That could be good.
Don't do that. But
Yeah. Maybe I'll get like a note card and I'll like laminate it after I do
Right.
it, so I can carry it around on me and be like, "Is it his birthday today or not?" No, okay, I can put it away.
Do you have a watch?
Yes, I do have a watch, but it's one of those Fitbit watches, and
Okay.
sometimes that
Yeah.
can be distracting too, especially if it's buzzing all the time, you know.
Well, I'm just asking because it's something I subtly noticed where like you have your phone that tells the time,
Right.
and you almost always will have your phone on you, and so I'm like, I look at times where I'm like, why am I even wearing a watch? Because the watch, the only thing it can do is tell you the time, and or look fashionable sort of. But I'm like, I have my phone almost always, like everywhere I go, bathroom, work, like just doesn't matter. I'll pretty much always got my phone, which that'll tell you something about our society, right? But I've just been curious about the effect on watches or something. I don't know.
I got something for you with that. It's people that are or have jobs where they're constantly moving. So you'll see nurses having watches a lot. EMTs have watches a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that is on like a sales floor or anything like that where you don't have or you're not supposed to have access to a phone,
Yeah.
they want to know what time it is. Like, it's people that are on the move a lot will
Right.
have their watches on. So, at least that's what I've observed with it.
Yeah. My grandpa had the most baller thing to say because my grandpa was like really well off.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, why don't you have like a really nice watch? And he just had one of those like just clunker Kmart, Walmart watches. And my grandpa was like, no matter if it's a $10 watch or a $10,000 watch, it tells the same time.
It serves its purpose,
Right.
which is why you wear it. So it makes sense to me. I mean, I'd love to have a really expensive watch, I guess. Maybe. I don't
Right.
know. Or maybe that's just what society tells me I should have. Like, a really nice one to wear with a suit. Like, really? Do you? Though?
Right. Well, so you know how like sundials, right? Like that was
Right.
like old timey watches, but like, were those portable? And my second question is, not that you have to know this, I'm just spitting right now. But like, what about at nighttime? How do they know what time it was at night? Was there moon dials and it just becomes a moon dial, or like was there a separate way to tell time at night?
That's a good question. It would also have to depend on, I would think, the weather and where, like,
Yeah.
where the positioning of the moon is, you know. And
Shower
yeah.
thoughts, basically. Those are my shower thoughts.
Yeah. That's an interesting.
You're getting
one.
an
I haven't-
inside look.
You know, I haven't really thought about that.
That'll be your thought to go.
You're putting me in a mental pretzel right now.
Sorry. Salt or no salt?
Um,
Do you like salt on your pretzel?
well, I can't eat pretzels anymore. I wish that'd be so sweet. But yeah, I do like salt on a pretzel, and no, I don't like cheese with it. I'd rather have mustard.
Why can't you have pretzels?
Gluten free, my man.
Oh my! You know I'm gluten free too, right? Like basically, yeah. We're
we
fist
just
bumping.
become best friends.
Yeah, yeah, we did. Let's talk about that. Like, what I mean, some people go gluten free because it's like very debilitating. Some people do it because it's like kind of makes them feel. I'm like right in the middle where it's not like I'm just doing it to be trendy. I'm not doing that. Like it's there's somewhat of a medical effect, but I don't think I have Crohn's disease.
You just have intolerance, probably,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So like I get tired. I get like, yeah. But mostly I notice that where like my energy level just tanks.
Yeah, man.
feel
like,
weird.
it's funny. You load up on carbs and breads and starches and stuff, and you don't want to move around.
Right. Yeah.
I just ate a half a pizza. Why don't I feel it?
Yeah.
But no. As far as my experience with it, like, yeah, I just started feeling really crummy. I
Yep.
was lethargic.
Yep.
Also, just like horrible, like stabbing stomach pains. So
I started getting that too.
yeah.
Like recently.
Yeah. You know, and having the anxiety thing, I was like, maybe I'm just nervous or something like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
And it's like, I discovered it whenever. I've only been gluten free like, probably 6 months now. About 6
Did we
months.
go gluten free at the same time?
Probably. You look good, man.
Yeah.
You lost some weight too.
So I've lost 32 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I started working out too. But at the same time, like my energy level like spiked. You know, like I had been a little bit happier, jovial, dancing around and stuff. But yeah, I don't regret it.
Yeah, man. I mean, taking care of your body also like affects how you think too. I think forgive me if I'm wrong here, but on one of your podcasts, was it Michael?
Yeah.
That has Crohn's.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Michael does. Yeah.
I think that he said something about that, and it really resonated with me. Like I was like, yeah, you know, that's right. Like
Right.
how you treat your body also affects your mind. So
Yeah, I think, and I don't remember if I said it or not, but like, and it's like in your gut is the number one producer of like serotonin, and like that's those chemicals. So if that's your gut bacteria is off, it can kind of affect. And when my nutritionist told me that, I was like, oh my God, that makes kind of sense. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I never had a nutritionist, but I did just find out on my own, and it was like I just
Right.
ran with it.
Yeah. What's your experience been with, I mean, have you had medication in the past? Have you done counseling before? Like,
I have
What
done
are your
counseling.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's really good for people so long as you're willing to listen and you're willing to participate in it.
Yeah.
Just if you're not ready to listen or face facts or really like look at yourself and what's going on, and then actually vocalize it,
Yep.
and then put it to practice on how to fix those problems that you're having, or then you're just not. I don't think it's gonna work so well for you, to be honest. Like you have to be willing to accept the fact that like you're there to get better, and what can I do to get better? I'm open to ideas, I'm open to solutions, and then roll with it. And in saying that, I think that it's important that you don't just go and talk and then leave and nothing happens from the time that you leave till the next time that you get there. I've had multiple counselors before. I've had multiple like therapists before.
Yep.
Where some of them have been just like you go and you talk to them for an hour and then you leave. Well, to me, that's not going to help much, because it's like I could do that with a friend, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But what did help out was whenever they were like, hey, well, before you come back to me next time, I want you to observe this, observe such and such, how you're talking with people, or how you interact in a group, or I want you to practice this exercise.
Yeah.
That helped out a lot. But when I was just like leaving, like going in and talking, like, all right, here's my insurance card, or here's like however much money, I'm going to talk to you for an hour and then leave. It's like, I could have found somebody, like my money could have been better served to how I found like somebody that was like homeless, and I was just like, hey, I'll give you $50 if you just let me talk to you. Like that's literally what it was like
Yeah.
you know. Not very productive. But on the flip side of that, whenever they give you something to actually work on, I think that it's really good. And then just putting it to practice, man.
Yeah. I had both experiences with bad and good, and bad was like I was just in a really bad place, and they'd give me those recommendations and I just wasn't doing it. And I got so much shame from the counselor and I just didn't want to go anymore.
But that doesn't help you either. So,
Yeah.
you know, like whenever, would you say at that point in time, you don't have to answer this, but would you say at that point in time that like you were like really rock bottom, like whenever you were going through that?
Man, kinda. I mean, it's similar. I think it's the issue is still the same across the board over the history of my life, where it's been I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel the feelings of the trauma or to deal with the reality of the
So it's
situation.
avoidance, yeah?
Oh, for sure. So they could tell me what you really need to do is write a letter and I just won't do it because a lot of times it's what I'm really afraid, and I may have mentioned this before, but like what it feels like in my trauma has been like, I don't want to think about it or talk about it because I want to be able to deal with it. Like, I don't want to stick my hand in the rose bush unless I know how to like safely take it out and to be safe, instead of just shoving it in there. And then as I'm taking it out, it's cutting me. So I don't want to talk about it, and then I'm like, I learned like secondhand trauma, or you're just re-experiencing it. If I experience it, I want to be able to properly deal with it, and so I don't want to deal with it because I'm afraid, because I basically don't think I can. So in my past, over the last 6 or some years, like, yeah, that's basically, it's the same issue. It's just the bad counselor, my bad counselor, was just shaming me every time I wasn't doing the things she was recommending, and she's like, well, you're not gonna. It was a bad relationship, whereas my new one, still the same exact issue with me, but he's like, I'm really sorry that you feel like you can't do that or whatever. So he's going the emotional. He's just 2 different styles of counseling, which I think is kind of important for you if you're pursuing counseling, because someone's might not.
It's 2 different people, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you are entrusting somebody with your deepest feelings and fears and emotions, and you get enough judgment from yourself on a daily basis.
Yep.
You don't want somebody else to do it for you.
And you're paying them to do that.
Yeah, right? So, real glutton for pain. So, yeah, I mean, who it is makes a big difference in their approach. Because sometimes you need, I think a lot of times, all times, you need, whenever you're feeling somebody, you need somebody to acknowledge that you are feeling that.
Yep.
And okay, so this is the problem. So how are we going to get past it? Or how are we going to deal with it? Not, well, you just say you have this problem and you just don't seem very willing, so whatever. Like, well, maybe we need to try a different approach to it.
Yeah.
Or maybe you need to go see somebody else.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like, in your experience, seeing somebody else that probably just a little different personality too, like ended up working out a lot better for you.
Yeah.
So
do you have like a motto or piece of advice that's really helped you recently or over the past, like kind of a buzzword or just a single sentence? It's like, boom.
I think I have plenty of them, but I would say my biggest thing is to just be present. Just be present with what you're doing, no matter what it is. Whether it's work or whether you're having a conversation with somebody. If you're spending time with your pet. If you're just sitting alone, just be present. And that can be a very scary thing for people, to be present and to have to deal with especially if they're alone, to have to deal with their thoughts. But, just be present, be in the moment. Because, life's made of a lot of little moments, and those are what shape the big moments.
It's true.
So if you're being present, if you are, actively conversing with somebody, actively listening to somebody, if you are just there, I think you're going to find that, happiness is a lot easier to attain if you're in the moment.
Yeah, it's good.
So,
let's do our final 5 questions.
Okay.
Final round. Number 1. If you could get an infinite supply of one food, what would you get? It can be like Chick-fil-A sandwiches, steak, fries from, waffle fries, whatever you want.
that's easy. It's lobster.
Lobster.
Yeah. I like a good, I love a good lobster roll, which went out to Boston. Go out to Boston frequently now, with the family being out there. Places actually have gluten-free rolls out there.
Oh.
A lot of places do now, so that's
nice.
been awesome. So yeah, lobster.
Is there a specific restaurant you want to shout out? Janice's Lobster. or Red Lobster that you really like?
I think that my favorite would have to be, I think it's called Joe Hook and Company or something like that.
Joe Hook. Shout out.
I could be completely wrong, but it's Hook and something, I don't know. But it's so good. So good.
What is your favorite cartoon character?
Favorite cartoon character would probably be Bart Simpson. I love Bart Simpson.
Bart. Man, that's good. So you're a huge Simpsons fan?
Simpsons are great. Yeah, I think it's just really a timeless cartoon, and it's so creepy and crazy how many things in the future like the Simpsons have predicted.
Oh yeah, that's so nuts.
But yeah, I love it. I think the Simpsons was like the start of a lot of other really funny things. So
that's good. What's a pet peeve of yours or pet peeves?
Pet peeve of mine. I would say my pet peeve would be probably just not active listening whenever somebody's talking to you. I feel like everybody's that way probably.
Yeah.
You know, but that's it. Or like you're definitely not in the forefront of their mind whenever you're speaking. And I know that, you know, I'm probably that guy more often than not. And it's not because I'm not interested. I'm listening to everything that you're saying. But it's like, I have social anxiety, so I'll just be like looking down at the ground. It's like, they're probably thinking, is this jerk even listening to me? And then I speak really soft too, so I mumble, and it's like, wow, dude, like, get some confidence. It's like,
right,
I'm listening, I promise.
I'm listening. I think mine's either like food related or children.
Well, those are two big ones, man.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'm at the Flicks Brew House for my birthday, like eating dinner.
Love that place.
And this guy, I didn't even realize, like, I knew it's like obviously a saying, but like I didn't think people actually did the finger licking, like where they do every single...
man. Oh, man.
This
might
guy,
have to reconsider.
Yeah, he had like the wings, and he just did the one, like, and I mean, the guy had a 12-pack of wings, and I was like, oh, dear God, please get through your wings before the movie starts.
And you're in a movie theater, too. The germs.
Oh,
like, why don't you just go do that in an airplane, too, while you're at it? Like, love to go eat my hot wings in an airport. There's nothing worse. I think you mentioned. So with kids and with that, like, kids in movie theaters are just the worst.
Yeah.
Too. I think that might be.
I think it's because, like, when I'm recording in Goodwills, they're always making noise, and so it's really hard to just random screaming.
Oh, thanks! You just ruined my video.
Right? Yeah, so I got to re-record. But other times they say cute stuff. I'm like, all right, maybe I do want kids. I'll just adopt them when they're 18. Just do that.
Well, then they're still expensive, man. They don't. You have to know as well as I do that, like, even whenever you're 25, you're still like probably draining your parents of money. It's like, gosh, you still don't have it together yet. They still don't have it together yet.
What's your favorite part of yourself?
Oh, man. You know what? I will go back to what my motto is. I think that I'm a lot more present these days than I ever was. But that took a lot of failing, I think, in interpersonal relationships. And
right.
I'm a lot more present than I have ever been in my life. And I think that it's come from a lot of just being not the best person. Right. So I really take pride in it now. I think that I'm a good husband. I'm probably, I hope that I'm a better son now. Definitely, I think I'm a better friend. So
if you could be anyone else in the world, who would you want to be?
Ooh, man. I could say somebody that's probably like on Instagram, because you always see them like making videos.
Right.
But I'm not into like all that vanity and like showing off wealth and stuff like that. That would just be, it's a little over the top.
Yeah.
So I think that I would probably be, I don't know, just give me like a random it'd probably either be Joe Rogan or it would just be like being a little kid.
Yeah.
Just like give me like a happy little kid. If I could just switch places and be like a happy little kid and not just be naive as all get out and not to have a care in the world.
Would you be a kid forever or just grow up again?
Oh no, man, I love where I'm at now. I think I would have to grow up. But yeah, kids crack me up. So, you know, I remember what it was like whenever I was a kid and playing basketball like all day long, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was nice.
You can do that, you just don't have a job anymore.
Yeah, right? Yeah, responsibilities. And that's what I mean about being a kid. Like, I don't have some really weird connection to kids or anything. I just like want to be a kid again.
Child. Gosh.
Tom Hanks, big. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So that you passed the 5 questions. Congrats.
Thanks.
So now is the last part where I think Michael was the first episode we did this. So you're gonna pick one person, your wife, you know, a good friend, family member, somebody that you know, and you're gonna shout them out and kind of encourage them or just thank them for their impact on your life. And as long as you want, you can make it short, long, whatever you want. And then you have to kind of share this part with them. Kind of, hey, I said this to you about you on the podcast. So.
Oh man, see, I have so many people in my life. That's so hard. You know what? I think I'm going to go with my dad because I'm gonna make him listen to this, and he'll probably be like, is he just not I don't know if he's ever even listened to a podcast before, so I'd probably have to like download Spotify or something,
right.
You know,
yeah.
and make him listen to it. But no, I'd definitely shout out my dad, Jerry. He's just a salt of the earth guy, and I think he's taught me to be the man that I am today, and I owe a lot to him. And gosh, see. Here's where you suck, Ryan, because you're making me tear up.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
But no, he always did things the right way, even if he never thought he was doing them the right way. He was always doing them the right way, and he's just the most loving person I've ever known in my life, and the most hardworking person I've ever known in my life. And I just appreciate him. So yeah, there you go, Dad. Love you. There you go.
You killed it. Thanks for being present.
Hey, you're welcome. I appreciate you having me here, man. Like I've enjoyed what you've done so far with your podcast, and I can't wait to listen to more and see what happens out of it. And I hope that people are learning about mental health and just life in general. And you know, if anything, we can learn things from each other, because that's kind of why we're here. It's just to live and kind of encourage each other. So it's good.
You're a good person, man. It means the world that you're going to be on here, and we've kind of talked for a while, and then one of my favorite parts is just having people that I've met through Vintage Indie that have become some of my friends, and then getting to know them deeper. And I don't know, it's like a double support, not only through my vintage stuff, because really the vintage thing is me, you know, and then on top of that, this is an even deeper part of me, and you're like, hey, I support what you, I don't know, it really means a lot for people who I've met to be like a part of this.
You could be selling popsicle sticks, and I think I would still be drawn to whatever you're doing, to be honest with you, because I just love the passion that you have. I almost see it as, you've mentioned it before, like the clothing, all that stuff is secondary. It's about your relationships you build, and that's life, man. And I feel like you go at it head on, and that means a lot to me. I think it means a lot to other people that see it, because positivity, it radiates off of you, and people want to be around that. So keep it up.
Thank you, man. Well, that's all I got. Let's say goodbye to the people. Bye.
Later.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan from the Classic Buffalo Podcast. Wanted to take a second to talk about Anchor, how I'm actually
making this podcast happen. Super happy that I'm partnering with them. So Anchor is actually the easiest way to make a podcast. I've done my research. This is basically the best way. I promise. It's going to give you everything you need in one place for free, which is the best part. It's going to have tools, so you don't really need a fancy schmancy recording guy. Anchor's going to be helping you out there, and then they're going to distribute the podcast everywhere to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, everything. And then you can also make money with basically no minimum listenership, which is kind of rare. So hop on Anchor as soon as you can. Thanks. I just got done talking with Lucas, and man, as much as he was about to tear up, I was about to tear up. I can't tell you how much what he said about the popsicle thing. Holy moly, man, I needed to hear that. Like, oh my gosh, knowing that, again, like, he's speaking truth. This guy, it's a person that sees me as a leader and is passionate about a thing, and that I could be selling popsicle sticks and you want to be a part of what I'm doing. Oh my gosh, man. Shout out to this guy for believing in me. It's just, gosh, every freaking time I do this, it's like this person believes in me. Not just like doing this. I mean, it's like, this is fun to do, right? To talk with people. But then like people want to be a part of this because they believe in what I'm doing and they believe in me as a person. It's so cool. And I just want to take a second to tell you, the listener, that there are those people in your lives too. Like, there are people that want to be a part of what you're trying to do. They believe in you, and I believe in you. You know, if I know you really well, I can say without a doubt when I say I believe in you and I believe XYZ about you, like, it's true. I don't just throw words around, as Haley from episode 3, maybe, as she said. I don't just do that. I care about you, and I believe there's potential in every single human being. I think that we all have a passion for something, and that's why I started this, was just to share people's stories. And Lucas is like quiet strength, and you know, sometimes he would speak away from the mic, which is totally funny. I mean, it's like, it's cool. But his vulnerability with social anxiety is so relatable, especially with me. Like, I'm still struggling to figure out if I'm like a hurt extrovert or just a true introvert who just like kind of hates just have, like, I'm at a party of 100 people and I don't know what to do. So I empathize with those who have social anxiety, because I do too have it. Bars are not my scene. I love to know a lot of the people that are there and just kind of cling to them for dear life. So I think Lucas said a lot of cool truths, and you know, his passion for people to have a voice, and man, he's just such a solid guy. And there's a calmness and I wouldn't say somber or like depressive mood necessarily. I think it's just, yeah, he's just quiet, and but like, he's also goofy and just a really good guy. So. And I've gotten to know him over the last couple of months and year, actually, you know, just for him following me. And I don't know, I'm just really grateful to have such a positive person in my life, and I wish you guys would also have someone like that. So I'll keep this one short, but thank you so much every single time. Even if like one person listens to this episode, it means the world. And even if it's the person that I recorded this podcast with, every single time that you listen to this, I hope that you come out of it better. I hope that your day is a little bit better, or that you come away with some tips or tricks, or feel more loved because you're not the only one who listens to this. I'm really grateful, because I feel like this is my passion. This is my purpose, is to share people's stories and to share my own, and to help make love more accessible for yourself and towards others. So yeah, I'm here for you guys as much as I can be. I'm doing my life purpose, and even if I don't monetize it, if I just enjoy doing this, I really do. So if you made it to this episode, I love you, and I'll love you regardless, even if you didn't, because maybe your podcasts aren't your thing. But seriously, thank you so much for listening. If you want to be a part of this podcast, please DM me, or just tell me a friend, or you want to do it anonymously, whatever you want. I'd love to talk with you. Shallow or deep, we're going to go swimming. I got the floaties, I got the lifeguards, I got everybody on duty to be there for you. So let's go swimming. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you stay loved, stay alive. I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.